Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the Ukraine War SITREP or summary for the day of 237 to 238 for the 18th and 19th of October for the past 2 days. So yesterday I wanted to do the summary. Never mind, forget it. Let's start off with weird statements. So the Verkhovna Rada, basically the Ukrainian parliament, have recognized via a majority vote to recognize the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria. If you do not know who are the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria, they are actually the opposing side to Russia in the Chechen Wars, in both Chechen Wars. So they basically recognize a rebel state of Russia. But the problem is these people are ruling from exile. They are actually not in Chechnya. So it's not going to do much. It's just, angry kind of like thing. And then so there's another weird statement. So the Zelensky have a video went out to all their different Telegram channels, and basically he said that Russia is now politically and militarily bankrupt, and despite spending billions of dollars on their military for years, they now had to go to Iran to get simple drones and missiles. So he said that strategically this is not going to help them, and at this moment tactically the Russians still holding hopes that there's some help that these Iranian drones and missiles could do for the Russian side. But he said that even this hope is going to fall apart. And interestingly, on the Iranian side, the Iranian official has claimed that 22 countries has now enquired with Iran over the past week to buy their drones. So this simple drones seems to be really popular now. And then came another very embarrassing thing. Yet another Ukrainian official got duped by pranksters, Lexus and Vagan or Vokhan. So basically, the head of Association of the Defense Enterprise of Ukraine, Sergei Pashinsky, kind of admitted to the fake Michael McFaul that the Bayraktar is actually more towards for PR and corruption than actual combat use. He claims that in the first week of the special military operation, the Russian military has shot down all the Bayraktars of the armed forces of Ukraine. They said he claimed that these Bayraktar drones are vulnerable against air defense greatly, and then he told this fake Michael McFaul that you have to understand that we had a lot of Bayraktars. They knocked them all down in a week. It can't work on its own. Bayraktar is not a miracle weapon. With powerful air defense system, it shoots down and has no combat effectiveness. So this is a very surprising revelation. But of course, surprising in the sense that he got duped by a fake Michael McFaul. Don't know why this person is so influential that everybody want to admit everything to him. It's so weird. So anyway, the same person also claims that the Ukrainians will run out of missiles for S-300 and Buks within a month. So we say October, November. So which likely to be within a month, they're going to run out of surface-to-air missiles, which also explain the possibility of why Ukraine is now rushing to get surface-to-air missile systems from the West, like the NASAMS and the IRIS-T. And on the other hand, while we're talking about trying to get weapons, Israel has pledged to never sell weapons to Ukraine. So, or rather, they will not send weapons to Ukraine. So the defense minister Gantz said in the interview with the Jewish Kochai radio, we are not selling weapons to Ukraine. So this comes after the diaspora affairs minister Nachman Shai urged the Israeli government to send weapons to Ukraine in response to Iranians sending missiles and drones to Russia. And Gantz is rather pissed. He said that he is mistaken. I am the defense minister who is responsible for exporting Israeli weapons. So in reaction to this diaspora affairs minister's speech, the former Russian president Dmitry Medvedev also warned Israel against doing this, because if Israel is going to supply weapons to Ukraine, it's a very rash step, and it will destroy all interstate relationship between the two countries. And on the another article, Benjamin Netanyahu, the previous prime minister for Israel, said that any weapons sent to Ukraine may end up in the hands of Iran. That he said that there's a possibility that any weapons that they send to the battlefield may end up in the hands of the Iranians, and they will use these weapons against us. And in the article, he actually also mentioned that they actually encountered their own weapons in the Golan Heights. So Israel is very sensitive about their own weaponries, and but the Israelis are one of the very few countries that have systems that can counter drone swarms. For example, the Iron Dome, which have the capability of taking down even small rockets. This Israel is one of the very few countries that have the capability to actually make a difference. But no, they are not going to antagonize Russia just yet. And there's also an announcement from Germany saying that they will stop exchanging Hryvnia for euro. So October 30th will be the last day that the Ukrainians will be able to exchange their savings for euros. And so there is a comment from a viewer, because I did mention this during the 5-hour live stream. If you have not seen it, you can go and check it out in the channel. He said that this is only for the refugees, so it's a part of a special arrangement for the refugees to do this exchange, and they will just stop doing that. So maybe, I don't know, I have no idea. So another source, a pro-Russian source, Intel Slava, reporting from a Ukrainian Telegram channel, saying that the damage to the system of Ukraine is currently at 40%. So I don't think it's 40, probably up to 40. And so the missile strikes are rather serious now, and the Russians seems to be continuing, and it's going to rise above 40% at this rate. And in Kyiv, the IRIS-T surface-to-air missiles are deployed due to photos of the missiles debris being found on Kyiv, identified to be IRIS-T from the IRIS-T. So IRIS-T is the surface-to-air missile system. And over at the Russian side, there's for the first time there's an interview of the Russian new military operation commander, the special military operation commander, S.Surovikin. So he was asked some questions, and he answered some answers, and basically he's calling the entire military operation as tense. The situation is tense, and the Ukrainians are not giving up and trying their best. Then some rhetoric about Ukrainians sending people to die, and what else? So he also claimed that the losses on the Ukrainian side on a daily basis is between 600 to 1,000 people on a daily basis. And he also reiterated the Russian strategy that, as per instructed by Putin, the idea is not to strive for high rates of advance, but to actually protect every soldier and methodically grind the advancing enemy. So basically, doing a slow advancing defensive strategy. So the idea is to minimize losses and reduce the number of civilian casualties. So this is incongruent with this is congruent to what what Putin has set out months ago. And currently, so what the Russians are doing, he explained, is that the Russian forces are actually building up the combat and numerical composition of formations and military units. Basically, they are building up the reserve and are sending the mobilized forces into formations, and then equip defensive lines and position across the entire line of combat context. Basically, they are still on the defensive, or at least they are still currently still in the process of building up the defense, and doesn't look like they are planning any major offensive just yet. And they will continue to strike with cruise missiles on military facilities and infrastructure to reduce the combat capacity of the Ukrainian forces. So inside his I think 20 minutes or 30 minutes of interview, he also mentioned about the usage of the Sukhoi 57 5th gen fighter. So we haven't really seen footages or of this Sukhoi 57 in operation, but it was said by him that it was very successful, and in each flight it solved a multifaceted task of hitting air and ground targets. So the last time they talked about the Sukhoi 57 is also in this kind of statement form. We didn't see really any footage or anything about the Sukhoi 57. It's largely still a top secret kind of thing. It's a very secret weapon. So they are not revealing anything. And interestingly, Putin demanded to his subordinates that they have a month to solve all the problems in regards to payments of funds to the mobilized, and to solve all the issues relating to the equipments. So which means that this actually puts some weight and truth to some of these allegations that some of the mobilized troops are getting stupid weapons or shitty weapons, and also some of the accusation from the Ukrainian side that some of the Russian mobilized troops are not getting paid, something like this. So Putin seems to be aware, and is forcing his subordinates to actually solve this problem. And on top of that, martial law has been declared by Putin in the 4 regions. These 4 regions has been declared martial law, and if I'm from my understanding, all the neighboring so-called states or provinces around the war zone is also in heightened alert situation. So this martial law have a lot of things. So according to the Russian law, so a martial law will allow the protection of public order and the protection of military and critical infrastructure, enhanced protection, and then there will be economic, social, cultural facilities being evacuated, and a temporary resettlement of residents to safe areas. All political parties and religious associations are suspended, their activities are suspended, and then citizens will be needed to involve in work for defense and elimination of the consequences of the use of weapon, basically the debris, and then so citizens will be mobilized, and if necessary, properties can be seized from organization and citizens, but they will be compensated by it. And then it's no longer allowed to hold meetings and strikes, and to actually move house, to choose a place of stay and place of residence. I think they are not allowed to move house. I think cars will be inspected, movement will be restricted. There will be a curfew, additional check of documents. They were not allowed to sell weapons, ammunition, and they can be seized as well. Military censorship will be introduced. So I think you're not allowed to talk about military stuff, and international organizations whose activity aim at undermining the defense and security of Russian Federation will cease their activities. So the martial law is much more stricter now. So I would expect we will get less and less intel or information or footages coming from the 4 regions now annexed by Russia, because previously we have a lot of footages of the Russian reinforcement, the Chechens, the Ossetians going through Melitopol or Mariupol. So now I think we will stop to see all these things. And then now to the battlefront, or not yet to the battlefront yet. So in the Mykolaiv Front, in the same interview with S.Surovikin, he mentioned that he actually mentioned something about the Kherson evacuation thing. So he said that because of all the HIMARS strike on the Kakhovka Dam and the Antonovsky Bridge, and especially at the Nova Kakhovka Dam, currently the crossing has been disabled, so the vehicles cannot pass now from there, and as a result, delivery of food has been difficult, and there is also problem with water and electric supply, and this actually cause direct threat to the life of the citizens. So as a result, there's some propaganda talking about how this ordered by the NATO, and then they say that the Russian side currently have intelligence that there may be a prohibited method of war in the area of Kherson city, and also a preparation of a massive missile strike on the dam of the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant, and also some other strikes on the city. So based on this intel, they believe that if not done anything, there will be a lot of destruction on the civilian population. So because their first priority is to protect the life and health of civilians, they are currently doing evacuation, a resettlement program to move all the civilians away from the northern bank, and perhaps even around Kherson city. They're going to evacuate everyone from this region. And so he said that any further plans and actions regarding the city of Kherson were depending on the military tactical situation. And he emphasized that current situation is very difficult, and but regardless, they will still proceed with the need to preserve the life of civilians and servicemen as much as possible, and they will act consciously, and they will not shy away from adopting difficult decisions. So everybody reads a lot into what he means by difficult decisions, and tentatively the difficult decision sounds like they will give up this entire northern bank of the Dnipro River and retreat all the way to the southern part. This sounds a lot like the difficult decision, but the difficult decision might be also something else. So the pro-Ukrainian side, I think that the Russians might start to use nuclear weapon. So I have no idea. So that's why the pro-Ukrainian crowd is very excited. They thought that there is some breakthrough. No, the front line has not changed. Later I will explain to you. The front line has not changed at all. The Ukrainians have not achieved major victories on the front line for at least a week now, and this is basically a preemptive action based on the intelligence that they get, and they don't want to have major humanitarian crisis on their hands. And if there's a major strike at the Kakhovka bridge, what will happen is that there will be a massive discharge of water, and it will actually cause a massive flooding across this entire region. And with this flooding, which the entire force, the Russian forces in the northern bank of the Dnipro River, will be entirely stranded. So, which is also probably why he said that the situation is very difficult, and that's why they are now considering difficult decisions, which is probably retreating from the front line here. So tentatively, the decision has not been made yet. If it's made, I will let you know. And moving on to the front lines at the Mykolaiv Front, the Ukrainians launched an attack on Pravdany. So again, the forces did not work out because it's not very big. It's just a one armor group of 3 BMPs and soldiers. So given this kind of small force, I don't think they can actually do much. And that's all from the Mykolaiv Front. Over at the Kherson Front. On the Kherson Front, sorry, this color is wrong. This is the wrong color. So at the Kherson Front, the Ukrainians have launched another attack towards the direction of Chervony Yar. Fighting is reported at Pyatikaki as well as Sukhanove. So according to the final report about this fighting, they said that the Ukrainian forces actually managed to penetrate into Sukhanove. However, they actually landed into a trap apparently. So the Russians actually have armored reserve forces and organized ambush operation, and actually they caused massive destruction to the breakthrough force, and the Ukrainian forces was routed from this position, and reportedly taken a lot of losses, and they also captured some Ukrainian soldiers. And otherwise, before that, there was a lot of information about reinforcement coming to Nova Kakhovka and as well as Nova Kakhovka, Chervony, and all these are meant to reinforce, as reserve for the offensive or as part of the offensive. Within this offensive, and on the day before, there was a Sukhoi 25, a Russian Sukhoi 25 getting shot down, and also a Ka-52 that was shot down during the offensive. For the Ukrainian side, one Sukhoi 25 was shot down, and there is also Ukrainian surface-to-air missile system deployed at Zolota Balka. I think this is to cover this entire area. So, but I think that in this position might relate a lot more towards either protection of the rear or actually protection against protection of their amphibious forces if they are trying to land on the other bank of the Dnipro River. There is also fighting reported at Bruskinsky. The pro-Russian sources view this as a diversionary for attack, to help to cover the force here. But unfortunately, the front line has not changed at all. Everyone just go back to the original line. The Ukrainian forces did not capture anything. So this is in contrary to all this hype, because the Russian commander talking about evacuations. So the Ukrainians, pro-Ukrainian crowd or the pro-Ukrainian people start to think that they are actually winning. Tentatively, not really, but the Russians are anticipating some major disaster regarding the Nova Kakhovka dam, and so the dam, if destroyed, will actually cause a major problem. So I want to show you this. So this is a simulation of the dam if burst, what will happen to the flooding. And as you can see, a massive part of this entire river system will be all flooded. And if it's flooded in this way, basically this is like a small sea or a major river. There will be no way to cross across this crossing anymore. Effectively, these two pieces of land will be entirely broken apart, which is why the Russians are currently now considering some very difficult decisions, which is why I said there's a high chance that they might consider giving up the entire piece of land north of the Kherson region or the Dnipro River, because should this dam burst and cause the river to become this thick, they will not be able to reinforce and resupply this entire major force on the northern side, and this will cause major problems. And I think the Russians, given the way how they have operated over the course of the war, which is to reduce casualties, I don't think they have the stomach for this. And over at the Zaporizhzhia region, so at the Zaporizhzhia region, there is an amphibious assault across the Dnipro River, reported by the Defense Ministry of Russia. The Russian Defense Ministry said that 4 a.m. on the 19th, there is a Ukrainian force of 2 companies, probably a few hundred people, I think, left the left bank, tried to land on the the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant region. Then the aim is actually to capture the nuclear power plant, and this involved 37 boats, 12 heavy and 25 light types, with Ukrainian soldiers. But the Russians seems to be waiting for them, and they took active action guarding the outer perimeter of the nuclear power plant, and they neutralized the landing force. So reportedly, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, 90 soldiers were killed, and 14 motorboats was destroyed, and the rest was actually scattered by artillery fire in the waters, and probably retreated. During this assault, the Ukrainians actually launched artillery shelling in the northern outskirts of Enohoda, so around this region. And then of course the Russians do counter fire, and that's about it. There is the problem is we don't see photos and videos of this aftermath of this battle. This put a lot of doubts into whether this happened. This is already, I think, the 3rd or the 4th time the Ukrainians have tried to do an amphibious assault, according to the pro-Russian side or the Russian side. So I have no comments. To me it sounds like a plausible strategy, because if you can capture the nuclear power plant, the international pressure will make it very difficult for Russia to retake the nuclear power plant. So the whole idea is not to lose it. but the nuclear power plant basically is de-energized already. It's no longer working. So yeah, this is basically, this is this. Believe whatever you want. And over at the Zaporizhzhia Line, currently there's no fighting, no action at the Zaporizhzhia Line. The massive gathering of the Ukrainian forces still have not taken action. So maybe they are waiting for the right moment, and the right moment is still not here just yet. Over at the Donetsk Front, the Russians continued on their super uber duper Donetsk offensive, where they are continue their push at Nova Kakhovka, at Marinka, at Krasnohorivka, at Nevelsky. Interestingly, we did not see any information about fighting at Pervomaisky. However, we have fighting instead at Opyne, and there is a report of Ukrainian own attack, towards the the Donetsk airport. That didn't seem to work out. And there is also fighting, interestingly, at Novo Kalinove on the 18th, and on the 19th the fighting have spread to Karamik. So I wonder if they have captured Novo Kalinove. This information, the first information, Novo Kalinove, is coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry on the 18th. They did not report fighting on this position on the 19th. However, it was reported by War Gonzo. So this is a very concerning situation for the Ukrainian side, because a successful push westward will actually capture this major road at Ocheretine, and this road actually leads to is it a road? It's a railway station. Sorry, railway station, and this railway station actually leads all the way to the important fortress city of Avdiivka. I'm not sure if the train is running. But there is also corresponding roads around here. So this is a rather important town, strategic one, and the capture of this will actually cause some problems. But of course, this will be a huge stretch. Getting this force cut off is pretty easy. So anyway, this is what happened, and there's fighting reported at New York for the both days already. Again, very similarly, it was reported by the land forces of Ukraine, basically the Ukrainian army, and then by War Gonzo. Then we are now at the Bakhmut Front, where the Russian super duper Bakhmut offensive is currently ongoing, where the fighting is reported at Mayosk for both days. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported fighting at Oretdivka on the 18th, curiously, and then reinforcement was reported at Andriivka on the 19th, and there is fighting reported at Klishivka. So I'm still not too sure where the front line is, by the look of this, whether the Russians have taken this stronghold at this junction here. So there's some entrenchment around this region. So not sure if they taken this. So the map currently looks a bit funny for the Russians to reach Klishivka. Fighting is reported at Opyne, according to Ryba. There's also fighting reported at Ivanhrad, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, as the Ukrainians have not admitted the loss of Ivanhrad just yet. The Ukrainians actually launched their own offensive southeast of Bakhmut, trying to retake this area here. Did not succeed though. Then the Russians actually launched their attack, fighting in Bakhmut. Also, of course, no progress just yet. Very hard fight now on this area. Fighting is reported at Bakhmutsky, and then the Ukrainians actually launched a counter-attack in Soledar, but also did not yield result. So that's all from the Bakhmut front. Over at the Siversk Front, there is fighting reported at Bilohorivka. It's a counter-offensive by the Ukrainian side, and then there is fighting reported at the other Bilohorivka, where the Russians are doing their own counter-offensive to retake this town within the Luhansk region. And that's all from the Siversk Front. Over at the Lyman Front, reinforcement is reported. So this is outdated information. And then this is also outdated information. There is Actually, this is not outdated. This is actually coming later. I didn't report this just yet. Sorry. So there is a reinforcement reported on the 17th. Actually, it might be outdated. Forget it. Because it's Ryba. Okay, this one is not outdated. So there's shelling at Drobesheve. The situation now is that the Ukrainians actually have control over Toske based on the latest information from Boris Rosin, and fighting continues to be reported at Toske for both days. The Russians are still continuing to try to break through at Toske, and there is a Ukrainian attempt to fight towards Yaponlivka, and there's fighting reported at Terny. The current situation is still confusing on Terny because both sides continue to claim they are in control of Terny. So Ryba, Boris Rosin, and Deep State UA all have their own perspective. And there's a Mi-8 getting shot down over Terny, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. And moving up north, there is fighting towards Nevsky, near Nevsky. There's fighting reported at Makiivka, where the Russian Defense Ministry and Ryba claims the Ukrainians are still trying to cross the river to capture Makiivka. Moving on to further up north, now we are in the Svatove Front. So this Svatove, this is the prime target for the Ukrainian side, where you can see all the roads all leads to Svatove. So this is a major town or city around this region. So the Ukrainians continue to launch a assault. This way down, you see, they are in a pincer movement. They are trying to reach Svatove. Fighting reported at Ryhorodka on both days. On one day actually. And then on the latest information, the Russian Defense Ministry reported fighting at Nadia, which is actually further west from Ryhorodka. There is a shelling reported at Adivka that on the Ukrainian forces that was trying to move out. Heavy fighting is reported at Stelmakivka. Currently, Stelmakivka is a bit interesting. There's a river that goes through this town, and the western side is actually controlled by the Ukrainian side. The eastern side is controlled by the Russian side, and the Russians continue to hold the position to not allow the Ukrainian forces to cross the river. Whoops, accident. Sorry. So so similarly, there's an attempt to attack, and then there was shelled by the Russian side, and then they abandoned the attack. Then over at the Kupyansk Front, there is heavy fighting at Kaselivka and Kotlyarivka. This is a contested town. Both sides claims to have control over them, and so Ryba has been reporting that the Ukrainians are trying to attack Kaselivka and Kotlyarivka. There is also shelling reported at Ivanivka by the Russian side on the Ukrainian forces. Reinforcement is reported at Petropavlivka to continue to reinforce the forces here. The Ukrainian forces no longer attack Peshotrevne and Vilshana. They don't seem to be wanting to attack this area anymore. They seem to give up. They are now concentrating their effort from the Kupyansk region to this Kaselivka and Kotlyarivka region, and so that they are pushing towards Svatove, and perhaps they might actually go across here to capture this Nizinia Duvanka, so they can cut off some reinforcement towards Svatove. So that could be also another reason why they are attacking this direction. So otherwise, the Russians have launched their counter-offensive on the northern side of this Kupyansk Front, where there was fighting reported at Horobivka, and then the Russian Defense Ministry claimed they have captured Horobivka. Fighting is currently now at Vorishne, and bombardment was reported at Kryanivkivka. Interestingly, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry actually reported they repelled offensive at the Vorishna settlements. So Vorishna is actually here, not Vorishne. So maybe they are referring to the entire region of Vorishna. So entire region. So maybe this is why they say Vorishna. So otherwise, and then come to the Kharkiv Front, the Happy Front. at the Happy Front, there is fighting reported at oh shit Seve, then so the Russian Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported they have repulsed an attack from the invaders in this region. It's a border town, and otherwise that's all. Nothing very significant there. So this is the summary for the day of 237, 238 for the 18th and 19th of October. I have gone through all these things in greater depth, I guess, in the 5-hour stream. So if you haven't seen it yet, you might want to see it. You might actually play it during your free time or while you're working or studying, as background music. So up to you. So I go through a lot of these things and chit chat with the guys, share my opinion. So I thought that might be interesting to you. And so if you have not pressed the like button, now is a good time to press it. And do subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed. And do share this with your friends and contacts if you think this is useful to them or they might be interested. And that's all from me. And I'll see you in the next update.